In today's semifinal, two of the most affordable coaches in North America go head-to-head for a place in the Affordable Assault Finals. One is the longest in the competition, the other the shortest. Will size benefit or hinder one of these coaches? It's an epic battle between the Axion by Carado and the Travato 59G by Winnebago in today's Affordable Assault, and we're starting right now. Hi everyone, and Merry Christmas. Neil Balthaser here. Thanks for joining me on Ultra Mobility Head-to-Head, where RVs battle it out until there's just one winner left standing. We've pitted four of the least expensive camper vans reviewed in 2018 against one another. The Winnebago Travato 59G, which is the largest of the four contenders, and will use that extra space to pack some powerful punches against any coach trying to elbow it out of the crown. The Carado Axion, which is the shortest and smallest of the contenders, but surprised us in its full review with its versatile and functional layout. The Roadtrek Zion SRT, which comes to this competition with a tried and true layout and well-balanced set of features. And finally, the Roadtrek Simplicity SRT, whose strength is neither bells nor whistles, but sheer simplicity. Each of these camper vans will compete against one another in a semi-final round, with the two winners heading to a final Affordable Assault Smackdown. In our last semifinals, two Roadtreks went head-to-head, the Zion SRT and the Simplicity SRT, with the Simplicity SRT triumphing over the Zion SRT by sticking to its mantra of keeping it simple and affordable, and in doing so, earning a place in the finals. Today, we're going to find out which coach earns its place to do battle against the Simplicity SRT. It's our second semifinal competition between the Travato 59G and the Axion. Across 3 rounds, these two vans will try to score as many points as possible, with the winner being the one that scores the most points in the end. Since this isn't a review, we won't be covering each and every feature and option, only their differences. So it's highly recommended that you watch the full review of each of these coaches before watching this comparison series. I'll put the links in the video description below. Let's kick off round 1, where we're going to compare chassis specs, exterior detailing, hookups, dimensions, and capacities. As far as engine specs, both these coaches are evenly matched here because they're both built on the Ram Promaster. All Promasters get the exact same engine, a 3.6-liter V6 gas engine with an automatic 6-speed transmission. That's capable of delivering up to 280 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. So no points awarded because these two vans share the exact same engine. But the Axion is built on the Promaster 1500 chassis, which is the shortest of the Promaster chassis, measuring a scant 17 feet 9 inches in length, while the Travato is built on the longest Promaster 3500 chassis, measuring a healthy 20 feet 11 inches in length. That's a significant 3-foot difference in length, which does make the Axion more maneuverable, easier to park, and more drivable. For each foot of length shaved off, I'm awarding the Axion 1 point, so that's 3 points for the Axion. The Travato can still make up some of those points by putting its extra length to good use when we review its interior layout. So all hope isn't lost. How about exterior detailing and amenities? Both are pretty clean looking with no swoopy graphics and subtle branding. The Travato scores 2 points though for having a more upgraded look with its standard stainless steel valance trim and its optional lighted running board. And the Travato continues to pound away at the Axion, scoring 2 more points for having both its electrical and city water fill located up high, while on the Axion both are located down low. For those keeping score, the Travato has just passed up the Axion at 4-3, but the beating isn't relenting. The Travato is going to rack up a point for having a standard electric awning as compared to the manual one found on the Axion, as well as points for a standard second exterior shower, exterior service center lighting, and exterior speakers. That's 3 more points for the Travato as it takes a wide lead of 8-3. Moving on to occupant and cargo carrying capacity. While the spec sheets list 1,697 pounds for the Axion, the actual door sticker on the one I reviewed showed over 2,000 pounds as compared to the Travato's 1,800. So I'm awarding the Axion a point for that extra cargo carrying capacity, something it desperately needs right about now. We close this round out with a final score tally of 8-4. The Axion's gonna have to do some serious work in round 2 if it hopes to have a chance to go against the Simplicity SRT in the finals. In this round, we're comparing layouts and checking off the features for the galleys, lounges, bedrooms, and bathrooms. For every feature one coach has over the other, a point will be awarded. Will the Travato put its extra length into good use and claw back some of the points it lost to the shorter, more manageable Axion? Let's find out. The Travato certainly isn't wasting any time this round. It scores its first point against the Axion by having an additional floor plan, the 59K. The Travato 59G has a permanent lounge up front and a garage/bedroom in the back, but you can opt for the 59K's layout, which has 2 twin beds and a large rear permanent bathroom. Let's compare these bedrooms. The 59G's bed measures 77 by 46 inches, so it's 1 inch less wide and 5 inches longer than the Axion's 72 by 47 inch bed, although that extra length on the Travato's bed is misleading because the end of the bed is tapered and only the person sleeping on the driver's side benefits from the full length. Still, that 5 inches in extra length is beneficial, especially for taller folks, so I'm awarding the Travato a point. Also, the bed on the Travato is easier to set up. Just release it to lower it and attach some straps to keep it raised up. On the Axion, setting up your bed is more cumbersome. You have to remove all the cushions, then flip out a bed extension, and then put all the cushions back on. It's not a huge deal, but the simplicity of the Travato deserves a point. The Travato also gains a point for having a more comfortable bed since it uses memory foam and is supported by the Froli sleep system, neither of which are available on the Axion. That brings the point total to 12-4 in favor of the Travato. But the Travato isn't done yet with the Axion. It gets another couple jabs in on the Axion for having a lot more bedroom storage. They both have about the same amount of cabinet storage above, but the Travato has just a ton more below, while the Axion doesn't have any storage below. So that's another point in the Travato's favor. If the Travato is able to continue to utilize its extra length this effectively, then the Axion's going to find it harder and harder to get to the finals. The Travato also has true pass-through storage from the rear when the bed is flipped up. Now, the Axion also has pass-through storage via its rear doors, but because its shower is back there, a drain pan has about a 2-inch raised lip, and that makes it just a little more difficult to slide heavy items in and out, so the Travato wins another point for true pass-through storage. That puts the Travato in a healthy lead at 14-4. The Travato has one other trick up its sleeve, and that's a second bed that can be set up in the front lounge, and that bed measures 72 by 42 inches, so nearly the same size as the Axion's main bed. Not quite wide enough for 2 adults, but large enough for 1, so the Travato is going to land one last blow in on the Axion before we head into their lounges. Both these lounges are located at the front of the van, and both smartly utilize the swiveling cab seats to transform the cab into a living area. Both coaches feature a table for the lounge. Setup is easy on the Axion. Just grab some tabletops from the rear doors, insert some pedestal table legs, and pop the tops on. But on the Travato, there is no setup required since the table is permanent and the swivel out extension is integrated, so that's a point for the Travato. Both lounges can seat 5, but I actually prefer the lounge setup on the Axion with the one long bench seat for 3 as compared to having the 5th person sit on the water tank in the Travato. So a point for the Axion. However, all 5 people have access to the table on the Travato, while only 4 do on the Axion, so a point for the Travato on practicality. Are you keeping up? These contenders are slugging it out. The TVs in both these coaches are placed in an unfortunate position behind people sitting on the sofa, but the Travato's TV is a standard feature while it's optional on the Axion, so that's another point for the Travato. The current point tally is 18-5 in favor of the Travato, but the Axion has one last surprise up its sleeve, and that's a computer workstation that flips up from the kitchen counter. Having the ability to flip it down and out of the way is something that the Travato doesn't have, so the Axion claws back a point before wrapping up the lounges at 18-6. For a coach that's 3 feet shorter, 3 feet, you get more counter and prep space on the Axion because the counter is deeper, plus you have 2 counter extensions, a pull-out one on the left, which matches a similar one on the Travato, plus this extra flip-up one that acted as a computer workstation. So the Axion gets a point for more prep space. Both galleys feature the same 2-burner propane cooktop, so no points there. And while the Travato sink is wider, the Axion has the better residential faucet and not the marine-style one found on the Travato. So these coaches are blocking and jabbing evenly. As far as storage, not surprisingly, the Travato has more storage above and below, but the Axion matches the Travato's pantry, which is a surprise. Still, the Travato has meaningfully more kitchen storage, so it'll get a point for that. So far, the Axion's galley has managed to hold its own against the Travato, but something tells me that the Travato's not done with the Axion yet. Take a look up. See anything missing in the Axion? That's right, there's no rooftop ventilation for the galley. The Travato has a large, fantastic rooftop fan placed right where it should be in the galley, so that's a point for the Travato. The Travato also sports a conveniently located AC outlet for plugging in appliances. There's none in the galley of the Axion, so that's another point for the Travato. And the Travato has a larger 6 cubic foot compressor refrigerator with a separate freezer compared to the smaller single door 3.1 cubic foot refrigerator on the Axion. Another point for the Travato, and while the refrigerator on the Travato is placed at a proper height and not down low like the Axion's, I do like the fact that the Axion's refrigerator is accessible from the outside when the sliding door is open, so no points awarded to either. The Travato wants even more points, and it'll get them. It has a larger and more powerful microwave oven. That's also convection. The Axion's microwave isn't convection, so that's another point for the Travato. And as if it needed any more points, the Travato features whole coach water filtration standard, which the Axion doesn't have. So I think the Travato made its point, no pun intended, that it's serious about going to the finals. The current score is 24-7, with the Axion having to quadruple its point tally in order to pull ahead of the Travato. And that's a lot to ask for this late in the game. Let's see how the electrical systems compare. They both have similar capacity AGM lead-acid batteries, but the Axion has an inverter that's twice the Travato's size at 2,000 watts, so that's a point for the Axion. But the Travato comes standard with 200 watts of solar and a standard 2.8 kilowatt gas generator as compared to the Axion's optional underhood generator, so that's 2 more points the Travato scores. Neither of these coaches feature multiplex wiring, so no points awarded there, and both can be upgraded to lithium batteries, although upgrading to the very capable and much higher capacity Pure 3 lithium system on the GL model is a whopping $20,000 upgrade, which honestly would put the Travato out of the affordability price range. The Axion has a much more affordable lithium upgrade path via Hymer's entry-level EcoTrek 400 package, which includes 400 amp hours of lithium, half the capacity of the Winnebago's Pure 3 system, but also a quarter of the cost at $5,000, which is a huge difference. and still keeps the Axion in the affordability zone. So I'm awarding the Axion 3 points for this smart and affordable electrical system upgrade. So the Axion closes the point gap a bit and finally makes it into the double digits with a current score of 11 to the Travato's 26. Let's close out this bloody round by comparing bathrooms and tank sizes. The Travato 59G has one of the largest bathrooms in its class, measuring 28 by 51 inches. And you would handily expect it to beat the Axion, but surprisingly, the Axion holds its own against the Travato with its full width rear bathroom. Even with the floor-to-ceiling storage taking up a third of the space, the Axion's bathroom actually feels larger. That's partly because the Travato has that wheel well sticking up right in the middle of its bathroom, but also because the Axion has the rear door windows, which help it to feel more open, and a fold-up sink that gets up and out of the way. So I'm actually going to award the Axion a point for having a more open and airy bathroom. The Axion also gains a point for having access to the bathroom from the rear doors. And that's great for rinsing off muddy feet or pets before stepping into the main cabin. And the Axion's going to get 2 more points. One for having a larger, more useful wardrobe closet, and another for lots more bathroom storage. So the Axion's managed to close the point gap a bit more, with current tallies sitting at 26 to 15. Both these bathrooms feature powered rooftop ventilation, but the Travato does score a point for having a fully enclosed bathroom with a much more simple timbre door as compared to the 2-step method needed to close off the Axion's bathroom, which still doesn't give the occupant complete privacy. As far as tank sizes, the Travato has more space to play with, so it has a larger freshwater tank and separate gray and black water tanks. The Axion has a larger combined gray and black water tank, but lacking a dedicated gray tank to flush out the sewer lines after dumping your black tank is a deficiency, especially since the Axion doesn't have a standard black tank flush system like the Travato. So that's 2 extra points for the Travato. Both coaches come with a standard macerator system, but the Travato has optional heating pads for the gray water tank, so that's another point for the Travato, as we end this round with a total score of 30 to 15. This is the third and final round, and we're comparing options, build quality, price, and warranties. Straight off, the Axion has twice the warranty of the Travato at 2 years, so it gets a point for that. It also offers 2 years of roadside assistance, which the Travato can't match, so that's another 2 points, 1 for each year. Let's talk about options. The Travato offers a whole raft of them, and many of them are economical, and most of them are not available on the Axion. So get your scorecards out as we punch down the list. There's a standard screen door, an optional bike rack for $1,000, a ladder for $667, a roof rack for $1,000, dual pane acrylic windows for $1,700, a decor upgrade to high gloss cabinetry for $377, and finally the Travato uses the excellent, efficient, and quiet Truma Combi combined heating and water heater, which provides for ducted heating and is a definite step up over the Axion's more traditional Aldi heating system with a separate boiler for the water. So I hope the Axion has plenty of ice packs on hand, because the current score tally is 37 to 18. Let's talk about quality and price. The Travato definitely has a higher fit and finish. The cabinets feel more solid, the bathroom door isn't a piece of flimsy plastic like it is on the Axion, and in general, everything feels just better made. However, the Axion doesn't use stick framing and staples like the Travato does to hold those cabinets together, so no points awarded to either of these coaches for stellar build quality. As far as pricing, at the time of this video, upgraded Travatos, with all the standard features that are missing on the Axion, plus options not available on the Axion like this side screen door, the bike rack, heated tanks, and the upgraded stainless steel valance trim, can be found online with dealer pricing averaging out at around 82,000. While Axion, upgraded with the EcoTruck 400 lithium system, an underhood generator, and 200 watts of solar, can be found with average dealer pricing of around the same 82,000. Higher demand for the Axion are causing dealers to jack up the price on a coach that should frankly blow the Travato out of the water in terms of affordability, but alas, no points can be awarded to the Axion for affordability, and that's really too bad because that was the last great chance the Axion had of closing this enormous point gap. We end this competition, therefore, with the Travato scoring a massive 37 points and the Axion 18. And that means the Travato 59G will be heading into the finals going head-to-head with the Simplicity SRT. The Travato was able to neutralize the Axion's advantages while simultaneously scoring big points for including a boatload of standard features unmatched by the Axion and managing to keep its price just as low. Let me know if you agree in the comment section below, and as always, if you like this head-to-head, then you know what I'm asking you to do. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that little bell to be notified when new head-to-head comparisons come out. And if you value honest comparisons like this, ones not sponsored by RV manufacturers, then a one-time donation via PayPal or a monthly pledge via Patreon will go a long way toward keeping me independent. The links are in the video description below. Okay, that wraps it up for this semifinal. Thanks so much for watching Ultra Mobility Head-to-Head, where RVs battle it out until there's just one winner left standing. Stay tuned for the Affordable Assault Final, an epic battle between the Winnebago Travato and the Road Trek Simplicity SRT, coming up shortly. I'll see you then, everyone. Take care, Merry Christmas, and bye-bye. Still, the Travato has meaningfully more storage, so still, the Travato has meaningfully more kitchen storage, so it'll get a point for that.